we were avoiding the chainsaw as you alluded to
I know,
on our
that
group
damn
chat,
chainsaw.
right?
It's kind of, it hurts when you see it happen because you know what that means, you know? It's like they're really
It's good insult to injury.
Yeah, dude, it's like they're pouring salt on your wound, you know?
Thank you for downloading and listening to West Box Score. I'm Alex Gonzalez, joined by my compadre, D-Bot Donald Paz. What's up, dude?
Yo, what's going on, Alex? How you been, brother?
I've been good, man. It's good to be back on the cast with you, although we are missing the third member of our Death Triangle here. Sonny and Mano is away on a very special Fox Crate podcast assignment, dude. That's exciting news, right?
Yes, I know. I was really excited when he sent us the info about how they're getting back on it. So I was like, oh, awesome, man. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all the stuff that's happening in the music world.
There is so much to dive into, man. I'm excited. Oh, man. So before we get started with our West Box Score episode, I got to ask you to please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram. We're at West Box Score. Sonny's podcast is the Fox Crate Podcast. It's where vinyl meets culture, you know, and he's also on Instagram at the Fox Crate. And it's a great discussion on that podcast. You know, it's to get a little step away from the LA sports universe here. And we have an ever-growing Discord channel, right, D-Bot?
Yes, we do. We got a really great Discord channel. We've been having some really good weekly score sessions, is what we like to call them. It's like on the Discord stage, we'll just jump on and talk everything from LA sports to life to philosophy.
Yeah, man.
We get pretty deep in it, and we jump around. It's kind of like an open chat, but you know, it's with a lot of us in there, and you know, it's a really great group of people. Everyone really has a lot of different backgrounds in terms of like, you know, thoughts on different things, and it's really great. But you know, shout out to the users: Big Money Matt Paz, Billy, Nahum, Parker, Brianna, Clipper Pablo joining us as well. So that was really cool having him on. And yeah, man, I would say, man, if you want to hang out with us and kind of, you know, be with us throughout the remaining of the week when we're not doing this podcast, you know, definitely join it. It's really fun. So got to come check out that Discord group, man.
And if you're a wrestling fan, you should especially join because we booked the whole territory. You know, Rick, Esparza, Billy, and I, we just, and then D-Bot, of course, too, we just booked the territory. WWE should be doing this. And what if this happened? And what if that happened? So
yeah,
if you're a wrestling fan, you got to get your 2 cents in there and what WWE booking and AEW should be doing.
Yeah, back on the road, both of them, man.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, man.
And also check out Sailor Brew's Coffee, man. They're out here making some amazing coffee based out of Pasadena, California. They got some nice single origin Ethiopian coffees and, you know, luxury coffee such as the Jamaica Blue Mountain, man. Sailor's Brew Coffee. They're helping you sail through the day's storms. Safe sails, everyone. Our listeners get 10% off their first order using our link, which will be in the show notes. So please check it out and get you a bag of some quality coffee.
Man, I gotta hit up that website still, man. I seen some of it. I have yet to put in my order. It's in my cart. I gotta check it out. I just gotta make sure I have the right link to get that discount. So I'm gonna go back to our show notes later after this publishes and get some Sailor Brew coffee, man, because it looks good, man. I gotta say that looks like some tasty brew.
It does. It is.
Gonna check it out. So we gotta get started right with the Lakers and. The playoffs started early was last week. It was not the playoffs, but the play-in tournament. Yeah. And so it was built up as Steph Curry versus LeBron James one more time, you know, in their long storied history. Yeah. And this one definitely had a playoff vibe, man. I was into this game. D-Bot, what were your thoughts on this instant classic?
Oh, man. Just like you, it lived up to the hype. I think depending on whether you stand, wherever you stand in the play-in kind of new, you know, format. I know some people love it, some people don't like it. Obviously, Lakers versus Warriors is a reason why you would love it because that's what makes it interesting. And that game lived up to it. And I know us as Lakers fans, I don't know about you, Alex, but I was definitely worried for those first, for sure the first half. And then, you know, in that third quarter, kind of felt like they started slowly turning it around, but not enough to convince you that this is going to be easy, that, you know, but man, that was an insane game. And the Lakers pulled it out, man. Fourth quarters where it really just took over. And I really loved that, how the team came together, how they really just started figuring out, you know, the rhythm that they were trying to get going. And, Steph Curry, man, is still a threat and he's still dangerous. And it was crazy seeing Steph Curry still do his thing. It's like he did his part. It's unfortunate that the rest of the team wasn't there. I don't think they had Wiseman. I don't think, of course, Klay Thompson was out for the season. But, man, it also makes you think like the Warriors are still a team you can't sleep on, So, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's so weird because it almost felt like the second half is where it turned around because we saw Schroeder a lot less. And I feel Schroeder was really ice cold throughout this entire game. And he's like their third, leading scorer that he needs to put up some numbers as well. And when they brought in, is his name Wes Matthews, right?
Wes Matthews. Yeah.
And mind you, this is my time when I start watching. I got to tell everybody, this is when I actually start to watch the Lakers. I only watch when the playoffs get started. So I'm like, wait, who's this guy? Who's that guy? I don't know LeBron. I know AD. Yeah, that's about it. So, Wes Matthews, I thought really stepped up for them, and I guess he was playing the point guard position, but he's not a natural point guard, right?
No, he's a shooting guard. He's definitely a 3-point guy. Like his thing is a 3-point shot. That's why they got him. But he hadn't had any of that throughout the season. But I'm glad that. Like anything, when you do it when it counts, that's when it matters. And right now is when it counted with that Warriors game. And I'm sure you saw too, like a lot of guards started stepping up. Caruso, KCP. It was kind of like it's almost like Vogel had to throw the guards out to make sure they stopped Steph Curry from having the kind of game that he wanted to have. So yeah.
And then of course the drama there in the fourth quarter when LeBron goes for a dunk. And Draymond Green comes down with a hard foul, hard foul, borderline flagrant foul.
Yeah.
But man, the eye poke, man, a la Ric Flair, eye poke to LeBron James there. And LeBron, man, just, okay, I get he gets a lot of flack for being over dramatic to get calls and whatnot. But man, he got poked in the eye legitimately there, right? Did he not? Did he not?
Yeah, he did. He did.
So, you get poked in the eye. I see how you feel about getting back out there and taking some free throws. Not only did he take some free throws, vital free throws, but he knocked the game-winning 3 down.
Yeah.
Very Kobe-esque, if I may add. Yeah. I have not been as excited for a shot like that in the very crunch time where it really matters, playoff game. And it's just, man, it just had those Kobe vibes to it because it's at Staples, clutch 3, bar 3, not even a 3-pointer like at the line, like a bar 3, very Kobe style.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I think LeBron's a Laker now. You know what? He really should be the Laker after finally winning the championship, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like carrying the team on his back after getting an eye poke like that, overcoming an injury, a legitimate injury. And just hitting a big shot like that. It's like, man, I think LeBron's finally earning that purple and gold, man.
Yeah, man.
What did you think, D-Bot?
I thought it was great, man. That was a really great shot. It was kind of funny seeing the post game when he said that he saw 3 rims and he just aimed for the middle one because that's how it was. And yeah, man, I think that it was really cool seeing LeBron do his thing. It kind of makes you think this is why you pay him the money that you pay him. You know what I mean? For moments like that. And it was really cool to see it, man. And I'm really glad that the Lakers pulled it out. At the end, I think it was like one final possession for the Golden State Warriors where KCP stole the ball and that was it. But yeah, it was really cool seeing that, man. I love that the fact that the Lakers turned it around and they really kind of, got their heads together and they really pulled out that win, which was needed in order for them to stay in this playoff race.
Yeah, big shouts out to Frank Vogel for making the switches, as you were saying, with all the guards who were coming in, noticing all that. And like, man, it's just this Laker team is finally gelling when it matters. Playoffs, just the way you and Sonny were saying about injuries. It doesn't matter how many injuries they have going, during this stretch, as long as they all come together when the playoffs start, when it matters. Yeah. So here we go. Now the playoffs are officially underway. The Lakers are the number 7 seed taking on the number 2 seed Pheonix Suns. And this is the first time ever that Vegas has betting odds where the number 7 is favored over the number 2, man. But Vegas may have to make some big payouts after this first game because the Lakers dropped it 99-90. D-Bot, what happened?
Oh, man. It was crazy seeing this game and the Lakers just did not have anything going for them. They just could not get the lead whatsoever. And I know Vegas has them favored, which to me is one of those things where they want people to bet on the underdogs.
You can't lose money. You can't lose money here.
You can't. And I mean, it's one of those things where like they want you to bet on the Lakers. because it's weird, right? A number 7 seed being above a 2 doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. But then you see game 1, and it kind of makes you think like, well, I mean, they are the number 2 team. Like, we can't dismiss them that early,
Right.
Again, the Suns have to pull this win out 3 more times in order for it to be a real thing, that they are the real deal, that they're going to pull it off. But, until that happens, which I don't know, I mean, I'm still very confident the Lakers are still going to be able to pull it out. But for the most part, it just looked like, the Lakers were trying everything they can. It just feels like they weren't there yet. Their rhythm wasn't there. I don't know if it just had to do with them coming off that play-in game, but, it just feels like the rotations were not there. Obviously, the Suns were very physical. Like, they were in the paint. DeAndre Ayton just kept going in, just kept trying to, like, get everything going, and he had a good game. He definitely played like the player that would be an number 1 overall pick, which is what he was when he came in. Obviously, didn't have that kind of season coming in, but now we're seeing the fruition of it. So he's definitely coming into his own. Devin Booker, same thing too. I mean, those 2 guys being as young as they are and as strong as they are, with CP3 kind of, a little questionable now, right? He was a little wonky after that injury.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, it just kind of showed me like that next generation of NBA coming up, and how the reins can be kind of switched at any given point, But I'm still confident the Lakers are going to pull it out. But it was kind of hard to see this game and just seeing that they could never get a lead. I mean, if they were in the lead for like a period in the game and then they lost it, I would have felt a little bit better. But the fact that they never got into it just made me think like, wow, like what's going on, And then I want to believe like last season that they just kind of like kept losing the game 1, against Portland and whatnot, like because they were able to figure out how to play them the next 2-3 games and then counter them. So hopefully there's something like that happening here.
It's a learning process that they're doing. They're falling right into the Lakers' plan here. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking like I hope it's that, because yeah, it was tough seeing them like get out. They're being so physical, and the Lakers were not trying to match up to them. I remember, I think it was the 4th quarter where they said like, Suns were already in foul trouble, like in terms of like they're already giving up the bonus, like the Lakers were in the bonus like halfway through that quarter, and then the announcer said, like the Lakers have yet to commit a team foul. You know what I mean? I'm just like, why aren't they getting more aggressive with them? So things like that I started thinking about.
Well, I always look at offensively too. Why in the play-in game it was Schroeder who was cold, but this time for this playoff game it was more AD that was cold.
Yeah,
and it's like you need your 3 top players to contribute offensively, and then you got to have that 4th or 5th player that just has their game of the night. To me, Montrezl Harrell looked pretty good at moments, and it's like, well, he's gonna be. I mean, it's always that we always go back to that thing that Clipper Pablo says. It's like, oh, Harrell's great until he gets to the playoffs. And it's like, man, I kept thinking about that. Like, oh no, are we going to be snake bit by him? But I thought he stepped up. I think he was a great role player that stepped up for the Lakers. And I thought Drummond looked pretty good at times too. So it's just like, man, it's just a matter of everybody clicking at the right time, right? And it's just like, Paul, when CP3 went down, it's like, okay, cool. That's like, well, it sucks anytime a player goes down, right? But it looked like such an odd injury that I'm like, oh yeah, he'll come right back. Snap that shoulder right back in there. He'll be right back on the court. And then of course when he comes out with the compression sleeve, so it's like, okay, he's gonna be able to play through it. Like that's great. You obviously don't want any serious injuries, right, from any player on the court. But it's like, but they're a man down. So it's like, come on, Lakers, take advantage. But I think LeBron sat out at the same time. So the Suns were able to go on a run at that point. And it's just like, man, I just felt like whenever LeBron was off the floor, the Suns would go on a run. And it'd just be almost like a run that the Lakers couldn't answer back. Yeah. So it's like, what worries me is if LeBron doesn't play a lot of minutes, which he's still, nursing an injury. I mean, is he 100%? Is he 90%? I mean, 90% LeBron is still better than 100% of a lot of other players, but it's just, we need him out there for a lot of minutes, and it's just a matter if he's able to carry that load right now. So I'm a little worried, D-Bot. I'm glad you're way more optimistic than I am.
I mean, I don't know, but I think when LeBron was sitting down, they put the camera on him, and you could just tell he had like that pissed off look. Like he kind of is pissed that this game is not flowing in their direction, because it wasn't. It really wasn't. It felt like they were trying to climb out of a mountain or trying to climb out of a deep hole that they got themselves into, and it just felt like they never were able to get out of it. And I think I was kind of hoping they would turn it around fourth quarter, but like at the same time, I kind of felt like, no, I feel like this is the rhythm of the game. I think at this point, we should just look into the next game, review the tape, and then figure out what your counter is going to be next time. I think for sure next time they're going to try to figure out the DeAndre Ayton situation and not letting him get so many easy putbacks and a lot of those easy in the paint points. I mean, I think I didn't look at the final stat for the game, but I think at the end of the third quarter, there was 34 points in the paint for the Suns and only 20 for the Lakers. So that tells you that they were out rebounding them and they were doing a lot of putbacks, just putting that ball back in there. And the Lakers were not doing the same on the other end.
I feel like, was it Magic who tweeted out before the game that was like a key to the series?
I believe so. So. I know he kind of gave out some tidbits. You know, it's kind of like he's coaching from afar. You know, like he's as
long as he's not trading players, I think we're okay. Oh man, but the Lakers just dropped game one, so there's still, at least four more games to go for in this series.
Yeah,
Lakers in 5 or 6.
I don't know. I want to say 5. I want to believe in 5, but it could be 6. I could see the Suns go on another run like this, and completely catch the Lakers off guard, especially if the Lakers would be up like 2-1 on the series or something, and then they start letting their foot off the gas because they think like, we got them or whatever. But who knows? Maybe if they could take the next game, take one home game, and that says a lot about you. So
home court advantage is definitely played into that Phoenix victory. There was a lot of Arizona Pheonix Suns fans out there making a lot of noise, which is good, man. It's good to see fans back in the stadium. So now we're getting that full playoff atmosphere back in the NBA. And LA's other team started their playoff run also, the fourth seed Clippers. That's right, the 4th seed, because, they were tanking games, quote unquote, tanking games, which I got to bring up real quick and defend Clipper Pablo, even though he needs none of my help to defend himself. I thought he did a great job in his debate with you and Sonny there. And I just don't get why a Clippers team would tank to not face a team that they beat all season long. Like, why would they try to avoid the Lakers by tanking games? But I don't know. That was a little odd, but I do see that it was odd that they were resting, quote unquote, resting all their players. But go rest them. That's all good because it paid off for you, right? Game 1 against the number 5 seed Dallas Mavericks. Although maybe it didn't work out so well because they dropped game 1, 113-103. D-Bot, what's going on with Pablo's Clippers here?
Man, I did watch this game. I watched the second half of it because I was really, really intrigued, especially after the Galaxy loss. It was kind of like, I want to watch
Spoiler alert coming up later in the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Spoiler alert. But the Clippers, man, like it was interesting because this was a good back and forth game. Like they were really going back and forth. Like the I don't know how many lead changes there were, but they were definitely like, I remember seeing like it be like the Clippers were up by 2, then they were down by 2, then they were up by 2, then they were down by 2. And it just made me think like, wow, this is a really bad, like you could tell these two teams played each other in the playoffs before, they played each other last season. And Doncic is Doncic, man. Like he's just really relentless about, making sure that if it has to be him that carries this Mavericks team on his back, he's going to do it, And again, I think he knows some of these guys already, and he knows who he can go up against. I mean, we saw that replay of him kind of posting up on Beverly, and then getting that dunk in after Beverly fouled him. And I guess what they're saying is that he yelled at him.
He might have. It sounded like he said something.
It sounded like he said something, but I don't know if it was directed to him or anything. But I mean, on Twitter they said that it must have been like you're too small for me or something like that. Which is very direct.
I mean, who else could he have been saying that to? I mean, I get he wasn't looking directly at him, but he was looking at the fan in the second row. I mean, he was looking that way out to the fans, but...
Yeah, for real. But it was insane seeing Doncic do this thing. But it was mostly Doncic, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Finney Smith. I mean, those guys were just shooting lights out from the arc. They were just getting a lot of shots in, a lot of threes, a lot of J's. It was insane seeing them, especially towards the end is where they started turning it up. And then the Clippers on the other end just were not getting anything going. I mean, Kawhi Leonard had 26 points. Paul George had 23 points. But other than that, after that, there's like a drop off. Like Patrick Beverly had 10, Batum had 11, and Rondo had 11. And I think, again, this was a really back and forth game. They were going back and forth. But after a while, like you could tell the Clippers were getting cold in the fourth quarter. And I think that's where it started, falling apart for them. The Mavs look like the team that were like, we've been here before and we don't want to be seen as the lesser team. And Doncic is just, that's his mentality. He has that alpha mentality. So he does it. And then the Clippers are trying to figure out what to do. And they weren't defending as well. Like the Mavericks were just getting a lot of great shots off. It was insane how good their shots were getting. So I don't know, man. I think hopefully hopefully the Clippers have something up their sleeve, because if this is really what they're going to be putting out against this Mavericks team, that could be very hard to beat because of Luka Doncic. His personality is very Mamba mentality. Like, I mean, you're going to have to really figure something out, or either get him in foul trouble or figure out who else can be in foul trouble. But like, you can't let them have that kind of night again. So,
yeah, the Clippers looked like they were having some defensive problems as well. I mean, I don't really watch the Clippers that much. I mean, I barely watch my Lakers, but what I was watching from the Clippers defensively, I'm like, oh man, I thought they were a way better defensive team than what they showed on this game one. And I mean, both of the LA teams, got to buckle down a little bit more defensively if we want to see that Western Conference final.
Interesting stat right here from 3-point range. The Mavericks were 47.2% from 3-point. They made 17 out of the 36 taken. The Clippers were 27% from 3-point range, 11 out of the 40 that they took. So that tells you a lot.
Shot selection too, right?
Yeah, that tells you a lot right there. Again, and that was another thing too with the Lakers that they messed up on was their free throws. A lot of missed free throws. I think they missed like more than half of their free throws, which is what kind of kept putting them in that hole. Not because they could draw fouls, definitely. Right. But that was really terrible that they just were not making those free shots that you're supposed to be making.
Which is how you counter a strong team in the paint, right? You head to the paint, draw the fouls, and hit your free throws. So let's see. It's one game, guys. One game. We're still on pace for the Western Conference.
Another stat, the Mavericks had 12 turnovers and the Clippers only had 5. So you can't have a team turn over that much and still beat you.
Yeah, turnovers are always going to kill you, man. You gotta keep the ball. If you're gonna miss it, just miss it, but don't turn it over and get a waste of possession there. You never want that to happen. But it's only one game, guys. We're still on pace to the Western Conference, LA Western Conference showdown. Hopefully, fingers crossed that still happens, man. Fingers crossed. All right. So going now to the baseball diamond. Our reigning, defending Los Angeles Dodgers are finally taking advantage of some really great starting pitching and timely hitting. They went 8-1 on their most recent homestand. They were third place in the NL West going into this past weekend series with the hated Giants. And guess what? They swept the bastards from the Bay. They are now on a 7-game winning streak. D-Bot. Our Dodgers, they're looking good, man. What stood out to you this past weekend?
Oh, man, the starting pitching stood out to me. Obviously, I feel like we've always talked about how great the pitching would be for this roster. But it's great to see it be consistent through the series because, again, we went through that, 11-game losing streak or something like that with, we were really just getting killed by a lot of these different teams and, Kershaw getting pulled in the first inning and a lot of different things. And then on top of that, our bullpen just kind of being very questionable, which I feel like is still a little questionable in this series because, again, today's game, we were up 10-0, and then the game ended 11-5, and those 5 runs came from the bullpen. So that's where I get a little concerned because I did see that at the bottom of the 9th, there was 2 on, and, it was like, what the heck? So, if this dude even gets in, then they're going to go 6, 7, 8, you know what I mean? And we're really, close to losing the lead, and I think things like that is what worries me. But for the most part, the starting pitching, man, I love it. The Bauer Friday with what he did, the trolling, and then I love it when it happens and it's a good thing. When we really win the game, it would have sucked if he did all that and then we ended up losing the game because it was only we're only up 2-0. So it was funny seeing that. Walker Buehler had a great day as well on Saturday. And then Julio Urias, who also got a nice little hit. I got to see that. I was like, oh, shoot. It was really nice, man.
Yeah, Urias went on this past Sunday, went 2 for 3, 3 RBIs. One of that hit you saw was a two RBI double.
Yeah,
it was nice. I mean, it's just. I think they were calling him Little Babe Ruth, which was really funny. So I mean, and then this whole series, I know that Slam Diego is our most visible threat to us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're currently in first place on a 9-game winning streak. So obviously they're the more credible threat, but I'm always going to have a special place of hate in my heart for the San Francisco Giants, because those are our rivals, man. Those are the actual, those are the clásicos, those are the tráficos, those are the ones that we have to win. Like we could lose every series being dead last. Yeah. But did we win the Giants season series? That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways. It goes both ways in San Francisco, because recently they haven't really been having good seasons, but they want to beat us. They want to play spoilers to us. Yeah. So when Bauer pitched on Friday night, quote unquote Bauer Day, as he likes to call it, taking a page out of Kershaw Day, he was exiting he had a good start, right? Another quality start. That's the thing with Bauer. He's had quality starts almost every outing he's went out there. He's had he's 5-2 on the season, but even on those losses, they were just short of quality starts. He's given up 3 or 4 runs max. It's just no offense is helping him. So that's why he leaves with the loss. But exiting the game, he was hearing the boos from the Giants fan, then proceeded to put his hand over his ear to listen to those boos, and then lift his arms up in the air proudly as he's walking into the dugout. It's like, man, that, as you said, that's great trolling. That's great adding fuel to this rivalry.
Yeah.
And listen, you know how I feel about Trevor Bauer. I really don't care for him personally, but with that moment right there, and I mentioned to you guys in our group chat, he might be finally winning me over. I might forget all the stupid cyberbullying that he does, all his forced hijinks that he does on Twitter. Like he might be finally winning me over. I might come over and be a Bauer fan. But then I saw, while scrolling through Twitter, I saw a base hit that he would have got to right field, and he got thrown out running to first base from a right field single, which happens, especially from the pitchers. But I'm like, oh, no, I don't like him still, because he doesn't hustle to first base.
Yeah.
And that's me just being dumb. But yes, Bauer, man, that's the perfect thing you want with a player on your team, right? To really give it to the rivals. Stats wise, which he did with his performance, and then to the fans the way he did.
Yeah.
Like, damn, dude, I guess I'm gonna have to ride with him now. I really don't want to, but damn, I gotta ride with him. Diva, what do you think of Bauer?
Yeah, man. I mean, I like how he pitches. I think for the most part, he's had pretty good starts for the majority of his Dodger career. Yes. Like, I believe only the first game is where he had great 6 innings, and then the 7th one is where he started messing it up a little bit, and they pulled him. But other than that, I was really happy with this result over the weekend. I'm all good with you being this like kind of villain to the opposing team if for whatever reason if you could back it up. That's just how I see it. I think the last time the Giants had a sort of villain from the Dodgers was Yasiel Puig.
That's right. Yeah,
and it's only because, again, when you have those personalities on your roster, in a weird way, it's like the only thing that I could think of that makes sense in baseball. If you don't have a lot of swagger in your team, if one of them could just be the one that everyone hates on, then that's kind of also kind of cool to see. Because then you want to kind of feel like that there's something that you want to give them a reason to really come and play, So it's really cool. I like it. I have no issues with Bauer on that end. And I just don't follow him on social media, so I don't know what happens in his personal life.
I got to be like you, D-Bot. I really... Well, it's not so much his personal life. It's just that he engages a lot of like negativity on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, maybe you shouldn't engage it. But it's also, I think our buddy A. Martinez mentioned that if you get in that pool, you're going to get wet. Yeah. In the sense where, like, if you're a fan talking smack about Trevor Bauer on Twitter, like if you add him and stuff, he will respond.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't think these athletes should waste their time responding to negativity on Twitter, but I guess I kind of don't mind it in the sense where, look, he's going to go do a good performance out there on the field. Yeah. And if he wants to do extracurricular stuff that's not illegal or not hurting anybody anywhere else, then by all means, go for it. I really should not expect more from any athlete, anybody, always, right?
Yeah.
So why should I expect him to, carry himself with a little bit more class? Because I always think it's always one of those things too. You see online, like, oh, the Dodgers organization, such a class organization. Like, but look at who they got. He's not acting very classy on social media.
Yeah,
and it's just so funny the polar opposites and who they just picked up in Albert Pujols, which I wasn't here with you guys last week when I mentioned when Albert Pujols signing. And I just gotta say this: when I saw it, I was just like you and on our group chat when Sonny sent that to us, like, this has to be a joke. This is fake news. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this worries me that it could be a big bust of a signing, almost to the degree of Andrew Jones, right?
Oh, yeah.
But mind you, we needed that big bat. Now with Pujols, we don't really need the big bat. It's cool to have coming off the bench and give Muncy some days off. So we're not, in the sense, we're not dependent on Pujols the way we were on Andrew Jones at that time. So it's like, okay, if he works out, fantastic. If he doesn't, oh well, we cut our losses. This failed experiment, oh well. But the fact that he's been playing well, got his first RBI in his first, got an RBI in his first game, then a home run in his third game at Dodger Stadium. So it's like, I mean, he's already paying dividends, and now comes so it's just funny how we have a person like Trevor Bauer on one end of the spectrum who does a bunch of weird stuff on social media. His personality, his character can be questioned, and on the opposite end is somebody like Albert Pujols, who gave a baseball bat to a kid in the first row after he get a base hit single in San Francisco. It's like so. That's true. It's just so funny that hey man, the Dodgers, we got a little bit of everything for everybody. Whatever you're into, it's a Dodgers buffet over here, guys. Yeah. What kind of player do you want on your team? We have them all.
Yeah, that's so true, man. That's really true. Yeah. I'm glad that you spoke about Albert Pujols because I did want to get I was going to ask you that right now. What was your take on the whole signing? But yeah, man, I'm loving it. I'm loving to see it. I'm hoping that the Dodgers get to number 1 and we could take over San Diego. And just here to watch it happen. So, but we got some our next opponent.
It's a must. It's a must see 2-game series coming up because the Dodgers go to Houston, and just based on obviously no starters have been announced either way. But if my calculations are correct in starting pitcher rotation, it should be Kershaw going on Tuesday and Bauer going on Wednesday. So that's going to be an interesting 1-2 punch against Houston's lineup, who's like no slouch either. They're in second place in the AL West. So, I mean, they're still the Astros, even with just Carlos Correa, Yuri Gurriel out there. Yeah. And it's just, they're obviously not the same Houston Astros. And then, of course, you have the biggest creep of them all, Jose Altuve.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting matchup, to say the least. It's definitely be must-see TV. And I think Joe Kelly said about going to Houston, if somebody throws a beer at him, he's going to throw it back.
Yeah.
So already fueling the fires. I love Joe Kelly, as you mentioned earlier about Puig. And the Dodgers are swaggerless. We know this. We've heard from Sonny that the Dodgers are a bit swaggerless. But we have Joe Kelly, and he is down to throw the sad lip to anybody, strike them out, and saddle up their asses back to the dugout. So it's gonna be an exciting series, right, D-Bot?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like you, I think Kershaw Buehler is basically the nice 1-2 punch that would be needed for this Astros series for sure. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it.
No, sorry if I misspoke. It's gonna be Kershaw then Bauer. Bauer.
Okay.
So Bauer starting that Wednesday should be exciting because. How is Carlos Correa going to respond when he gets struck out by Bauer and he hits him with that little sword celebration that he does, or just slaps his chest the way he does? Because Carlos Correa is a whiny little bitch too. So he's got. I mean, he's all about the unwritten rules about baseball.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really curious to see if in fact my calculations are correct and we do see Bauer on Wednesday, because I would really like to see how he pitches against the Astros. In the Dodger uniform now. So he's already starting to win me over with what he did against the Giants. If he has a really good outing and gives the business to the Astros, man, I think I might have to go full on Bauer outage merch. So I don't know. I don't really, like I said, I really don't care for him personally, but performance on the field and, hijinks on the field, I could totally go for. I'm all in for that stuff, man.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to MLS and at the time of going into this weekend, our second on the table LA Galaxy, man. That was fun.
Yeah.
Remember that? So they traveled to Portland, and look at going into this match, Portland's always tough at home.
Yeah.
But Portland was shorthanded, man. They had 9 players on the injured list. They had their fourth string goalkeeper starting. Like, they got him out of, like, not even the USL. They got him from, I think they got him from Goals in Covina. In all honesty, I don't know where they got him from, but they got him in there. And then 44 minutes into the match, the Galaxy decided, you know what, let's add a 10th player to their injured list.
Yeah.
Because Derek Williams went in there hard, man.
Yeah.
A strong, reckless tackle, dude, and took out Andy Polo. So the Galaxy were shorthanded for all of the second half. Didn't work out well when you have 11 versus 10. Never really does. The Galaxy dropped it 3-0. Could have been a lot worse. Should have been better, but it wasn't. Divat, how are you feeling about the G's after that match?
Again, like you said, Portland's not an easy team, similar to Seattle. There are definitely those clubs that, like, you have to really be on your A game. You definitely can't be tackling that way. And I think once that tackle happened and that red card was thrown, that was pretty much it. Even though it was still 0-0 draw at the time of that tackle and the time of that penalty. The thing is that, like, it just was, you could tell, like, there was no way this Galaxy team was going to survive what was to come with only 10 men on the field. And I think for the most part, Portland did a great job of, keeping Chicharito out of the game. It was almost like he wasn't there. And it sucks to see that because, those are, Chicharito's a big part of the reason why, the goal scoring happens. He creates opportunities. If not, he's the one that takes them. But yeah, and then at the same time, we had Cabral, in his first start, and I kind of felt like him and Chicharito need to, have a little bit better chemistry. Like, it just feels like Cabral was a little indecisive. At times didn't know if he was going to take the shot or pass, and by the time he made up his mind, it was kind of too late. Like, he didn't have, like, the best, positioning to take the shot, and then top of that, like, if he would throw a pass, it would get intercepted because it was something that he just kind of thought of, like, last minute or something like that. And I think for the most part, like, strategy wise, it just felt like the Galaxy were there to play to not lose, and it kind of showed all over the field. It felt like even when they were still 11 strong, that, Portland had way better chances on them than they did on Portland. But definitely once the red card hit, it was pretty much that was it. And it showed because they, no matter how many subs came in and all that, it really did nothing at all. So yeah. And then once Portland started scoring, it was kind of like, all right, then I guess we were avoiding the inevitable.
We were avoiding the chainsaw, as you alluded to on our group
that
chat,
damn
right?
chainsaw. It's kind of, it hurts when you see it happen because you know what that means. It's like they're really,
it's good insult to injury.
Yeah, dude. It's like they're pouring salt on your wound.
Totally. And going back to before the red card, Granzier went down with a hamstring pull or some kind of leg injury. I think is what I saw. Some lower leg injury. So he may not be back for next week. Doesn't look like it's likely. So that's always going to hurt the chemistry up top because you wanted those two wingers up there with Chicha, of Granzier, Cabral, and Chicha up there because those three gelling together is just going to be an offensive explosion is what Vanny's hoping for.
Yeah.
At some point, right?
Yeah.
But the less reps they get, the longer it's going to take to build that chemistry. So that's going to obviously hurt. Poor Sasha Klechkin had to come here and play a whole half.
I was like, wow, they're really going to bring him in? I was like, damn, I guess,
I love Klechkin, man, but he's a super sub. He shouldn't be playing an entire half. More than an entire half.
More than an entire half, yeah. And then also Efrain Alvarez wasn't doing much.
Oh, yeah, he looked lost too. And it just...
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is where I think maybe Zubac might have to start next week on one of the wings, which is going to be a little interesting, but I don't know how they're going to play.
Zubac is the Chicha whisperer, man. He knows where to give it to Chicha and where Chicha can finish. So that makes me a little bit more hopeful. I like him being on the wing a little bit more. than Granzier. Granzier showed some promise or potential, but not living up to it yet. A lot like Ifra. I mean, story of the Galaxy, potential and shows glimmers of it, but they're not living up to it yet. Especially, I mean, like it's great that they're getting wins against teams that they should be getting wins against, and like the Miamis and the Austins, but when it comes to really good teams like Seattle, Portland, and even LAFC, they're not playing to that level yet, and it's obviously a work in progress. It's going to take some time. We hope it happens. It looks like it can happen. It's just a matter of when it happens. You just hope there's still some season or there's playoffs there, and hopefully they are a playoff team. I remember you saying that last week, D-Bot. Oh, this team's a playoff team. I'm like, I hope so. I hope so, man, because you got to beat the good teams to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is I think they're going to be like a playoff team, like 7th or 8th or something like that, and then they get bumped in the first round.
That always hurts,
which
man.
sucks because you never want to see, like, if your team is in the playoffs, if you're ever in the playoffs, you want to be there to really go a couple of rounds and not be the team that makes it to the playoffs and it gets bounced early because you were really never that good to begin with. It was just kind of like the way the format works is that you can get in on, the last second thing or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of a bummer, but at the same time, I think for the most part, it's good for the managers and for the front office because they could tell their owners like, hey, look, at least we got their team in the playoffs. So that means that, you don't have to fire us. So yeah, but I always hate when my teams have to come in as the last 2 seeds, kind of similar to the Lakers, like, because it always makes you feel like, oh man, there's a chance that this might be it, like this one and done type of thing. And I don't like that.
Yeah, because we watch our teams and we know what they can do when they get there, right? Like, why even bother going to the playoffs if you're just going to go lose one?
Yeah.
But good luck saying that to somebody like Sonny, whose Mariners have made the playoffs in years. It's just like, oh, I want to get there once, but like, I don't want. Not that I'm used to it. It hurts more when I see them lose in the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
It's just, because I've felt that pain before.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep feeling that pain, man.
Yeah. That's
so,
true.
I mean, the Cali Clásico is coming up next. San Jose is what we've been talking about coming up next week. So, what kind of lineup do you think they're going to put out there? And do you like their chances against San Jose?
I do. I think that it should be a little bit better of a team to play for the Galaxy. I mean, the Galaxy are in this space right now where if you're Seattle, if you're Portland, if you're anywhere in those top, if you're Sporting Kansas City, or even if you're in the East Coast, if you're Orlando City, Philadelphia, Atlanta, like you have a lot of work to do still to be able to, take one from them. At most, it's kind of one of those things where, like, even with this Portland game, if there was I was hoping that we'd get a draw. That'd be awesome, But once they started putting the goals in, it was pretty much like that's a wrap. But I felt like, man, if we could get a draw, that would still be a win for us as the Galaxy. So I'm hoping that with San Jose, currently in 7th place, they should be a team that they should be able to take care of. It's still going to be a battle because, of course, these are the 2 California teams that love going at each other. The Cali Clásico, so I think that for the most part, I feel like it should be contentious, but I do feel like the Galaxy have enough firepower to pull out a win. Even if it's like 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever, I think they still have it in them to do it. So yeah, and it's going to be interesting with the lineups, just to see what happens. Because like you said, the injuries, the red card, I mean, it changes a lot of things. So there's Vanny has his work cut out for him on what he's going to have to do next week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do you think Williams deserves an additional game suspension? I
believe so. I think that that was a really rough thing to watch. And when it happened, it was kind of like, whoa, But I mean, at the same time, I heard Vanny in the post game, and he did say that, like, obviously Williams knew that was wrong, but that, like, the thing is that he ran and he already had committed to the slide. So he committed, and then that's what happened. But it was not cool because then you see Polo come out with, a cast in his leg on crutches. And then you're just like, oh man, this is horrible. Like, he definitely needs to be suspended an extra game for that, because that's not good, So yeah, I think it merits it. Whatever the MLS wants to do, it merits it because it sucks. It was an accident, but at the same time, like, you as a defender should know better than to really come at someone like that strong. This is not cool.
Yeah, I agree. I would not be surprised if they give him at least maybe a 1 or 2 game suspension.
Yeah.
Do you think 2 would be excessive or 1's fair enough?
I think
so. 2
1.
games total.
Yeah, I think 1 is fair. I think for the most part, I think 1 is fair. So yeah, I mean, but if they wanted to do 2, I wouldn't think anything less of it. Right?
That means we got Dupuis in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Starting with Steris, but Dupuis, man, once again, just like the Galaxy, shows glimmers of that potential, but then it's like live up to it already. Yeah. So that means our boy Jonathan Bond is gonna keep racking up those saves.
That guy deserves a better defense, man.
I'm telling you, man, he makes some great saves for them when they really need it and keeps them in the game. But man, he can't stop everything.
Yeah, no. Eventually, they're gonna, he can only do so much,
With that second goal, I believe went off the crossbar and then back into
on
play.
The header,
and then went in with the header, man. So it's just like that's just a bad one to give up. So obviously the 3-0 loss wasn't. Never looks good, and it's really not, but it also not as bad as it could have been had it not been for Bond. 28 saves now on the season. It's only been 6 games, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because it's kind of like, in a way, it makes him look good because it's like, wow, look at this guy, he's just stopping everything. He's an octopus in that box, but at the same time, it just means that your defense sucks.
Totally. So. Going to LA's other team, LAFC, they finally got some fans back at the bank. Over 10,000 fans now at the Bank of California Stadium, thanks to the new fully vaccinated section. And also, more importantly, on the pitch, Carlos Vela back in the starting 11. So, D-Bot, did that give LAFC the boost that they needed?
Yeah, it did. The LAFC won 2-1 against Colorado Rapids. Diego Rossi with 2 goals. In the 14th minute and the 33rd minute. But yeah, the second one was an assist by Vela, I believe. And it kind of goes to show you that, he definitely makes the offense for sure just look completely different. I think that front lineup that they had with Rossi, Vela, and Baird up top, man, like they definitely had something going for them. And they had really good chemistry back and forth. So definitely for sure, it seems like Vela, if he's not there, the team looks completely like a different team than when he's there. So yeah, it was really good to see LAFC win their thing, win their game, and just a couple stats that I saw here that stuck out to me was pass accuracy. LAFC had 80% pass accuracy versus 73% from Colorado Rapids. So that tells you a lot about how much better the LAFC was playing against Colorado. Possession-wise, they had 58% possession versus Colorado's 42%. So, again, it's amazing to see when a team can dominate a possession, and that possession also means, goal scoring and wins versus just empty possession. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, definitely LAFC was clicking a lot better than in their previous games without Vela. It seems like Vela definitely is the guy there that makes that team run.
I winced when you said empty possession because that made me think of the LA Galaxy's first half in Portland.
Yeah.
And all that possession they had and all for naught. So it's like, that's what the Galaxy's problem is. They don't have Vela. Oh, man. Sonny, that one's for you. Just for you because I know you're right. Vela is more of the playmaker, and it's very obvious that he is more of the playmaker than Chicha with the whole Galaxy versus Chicha versus Vela rivalry, the Galaxy versus LAFC rivalry. But it's just, man, Galaxy got to get some players around Chicha that are going to help him. And Vanny's trying, and I think next week's going to be really telling against San Jose because those are the games you got to win. Those are the games you definitely got to win.
Yeah.
D-Bot, did you check out any of LAFC's TV broadcast?
I saw the second half. I know they were on My 13.
That's
KCOP,
right.
Old school KCOP.
Right.
I remember it as a kid as the UPN network.
Yes, thank you. Big shouts out to the UPN. Oh man.
UPN.
I was waiting for Sister to come on next.
Yeah, exactly.
Moesha was on there too.
Yeah, the Parkers.
Man. That's right, dude. Man, but dude, that's actually, in all honesty, in the whole rivalry between LA Galaxy and LAFC, this is a big deal for LAFC to be on a local channel like this because it's going to open up more exposure to your team to a wider fan base who may not have cable or, stuff like that. So it's like or not want to even pay for a streaming service like YouTube TV.
Yeah.
So it's really smart of them to get on this.
Yeah.
So big ups to LAFC for getting a TV deal like this. It's really smart.
Yeah, real quick too, man. I mean, I think if you live in LA, you definitely were spoiled if you had no cable. Because the Dodgers game on Saturday was on Fox 11. LAFC had their game on My 13 KCOP. LA Galaxy game was on ABC 7 on Saturday at 12:30, and then the Laker game today was on ABC 7 at 12:30. It's like
D-Bot, you've convinced me. I'm cutting the cord. No more AT&T TV for me. That's it. I don't need it. I'm gonna gonna get my digital antenna. That's all I need now, right?
You know what I feel like? Why don't we as fans in Los Angeles just protest to these teams to stop getting these like cable deals and just be like, look how cool it is that we get to watch these games on just regular network TV. Like, it really doesn't mean anything to us as fans that like it's on like a certain channel that is dedicated to you or whatever. Like, I just want to watch the game. You know what I mean? I just want to watch the game. That's it. You don't have to do a pregame or postgame. Just air the game.
All right. Now we're going to get into a whole nother podcast here about TV watching and TV rights, because I feel two different ways about this. And it's like this. I've always thought it was so cool that the Yankees had their own like Yes Network.
The Yes Network, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool because that's 24/7 Yankees, right? On that network. So when the Dodgers finally got theirs, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, finally we're like on that level of the elites, the cream of the crops of other franchises in baseball. So I'm like, cool, I'm down with it. But it costs money to sign those contracts, right?
Yeah.
And then that, the networks have to pay the teams that much for content. And of course, they pass it on to us fans. Oh, you want that channel? You got to get a cable subscription, or not just any cable subscription. It needs to be 2 tiers above the basic one.
Yeah.
So, of course, all that's going to cost money, but it goes back to our team in the sense where, like, now they can afford to sign Mookie Betts for 13 years. It's like they probably wouldn't get that deal if they were on, like, the CW Channel 5, like, they were sometimes. So, it's weird, man. I really like that when teams are accessible on a local channel over the air, because you just build a bigger audience.
Yeah.
It's natural. Not everyone has cable.
Yeah.
So, of course, like, yeah, man, more fans of the team watching, following, then we're going to get a bigger fan base to go to the stadium, to buy tickets, buy merch. And that's how the team can get money also. But I guess that's the old school way of thinking. Yeah. And now it's like a quicker payday.
I think my alternate then would be, can ESPN Plus or Peacock just buy whatever's available? Because, paying $5 a month is not that bad. And then you get all access. Like, okay, so NHL is going to be on ESPN Plus, right?
Right.
And then I got to see Premier League. I got to see the Wolves Manchester United game towards the end, which was cool on Peacock. It's just like, oh, look, it's right there. And I just turn it on and it goes. And ESPN Plus has a bunch of different things. Obviously, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, like, see, like, I don't mind if it comes out of, just like a $5 or $10 a month thing, but let it all be on like one thing. I think I was having a pretty interesting discussion with Clipper Pablo about this, where we were talking about like Fanatis and Fubo TV and like what would be a great alternative, but that has it all. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of tough. Like there isn't one out there. Like, what I mean? Like, and then on top of that, like, a lot of these services are kind of increasing their prices. Like, they're almost competing
but surely,
to that YouTube TV or even that Spectrum AT&T level, like 60 to 80 a month. And it's kind of like, oh man, that's a lot of money for the fact that all you want to do is just watch your teams. You know what I mean?
That's where we're screwed as sports fans, right? Because a lot of people can cut the cord. I could just live off the internet and Netflix and YouTube, and that's it. Like, I would love to do that, right?
Yeah.
Just watch a movie on Netflix and watch what I got to keep up with on YouTube, and that's it. But we got to see these games live.
Yeah.
we got to feel that live energy.
Yeah.
The greatest reality shows of all time are the MLB, the NBA, the NFL. That's it. We want it live. We got to see it and talk about it, live tweet about it. So that's where we're stuck, man. And we can't really cut the cord, and we can't get one streaming service like a Fubo, because that adds up to along with the cost of the Netflix and the Hulus and all that. It's just like, man, at this point, we're going to have to pay for it. But we're glad you didn't have to pay for this episode. This is always going to stay free. West Box Score is always going to stay free until we sell out to Blue Wire Hustle at Blue Wire Hustle. That's our media partner. Be sure to follow them on Twitter at Blue Wire Hustle. They're actually they're not a sellout network. I'm just that's a joke, man. They're a network that comes together to help other sports collaborators, right?
Yeah,
right, D-Bot? If you want to start a podcast,
yeah, man. I mean, they're out there building a platform where if you want to start your own sports podcast, they're definitely a good place to start with. They definitely help you out. I mean, they'll get you artwork done. And then you'll get access to this Discord channel, which is really cool because people talk a lot about sports on there. And then you get to see who's who. People promote their stuff. People get tidbits. Sometimes some of the hosts are like, hey, man, like, I want to tape something, in a couple of hours. Is anybody free to jump in and do like a co-host thing with me? And then you never know. You get plugged in as a guest for someone's show, man. And it's really cool because at the end of the day, it's all conversation and practice. So it's really cool to see that. And I think once you do a podcast, I know Alex knows we've seen it. Like, we do our show and then that's it. And that's why we even created our own Discord, because it's cool to see community. It's cool to see people come together and talk about it and build like a tribe. And that's what we're really trying to do. And Blue Wire Hustle, it's its own little tribe of people who love sports and that want to talk about it and that like want to be able to like feel like they're having like a group of people to talk to about it, not just their family members who are listening to their pod. Yeah. And that, probably don't know how to, and for the most part, everyone does well with criticism and everything, but you never know. Sometimes you want to hear from a fellow podcaster and stuff. So that's what Blue Wire Hustle does. And I think it's a great platform that, if you definitely have an idea for a show, definitely jump on. We'll leave the link on our show notes. You could, hit them up for anything, ask them any questions. They'll definitely help you out.
Yeah, definitely. Give us any criticism you hear about our podcast on Apple Podcasts, on our Twitter feed at WestBoxScore, on our Instagram page at WestBoxScore. Be sure to give Sonny and Mono some criticism too on Instagram at The Fox Crate. His podcast is called The Fox Crate Podcast. And, that's going to be it for us this week. See ya.
Later.